Hey, welcome to Friday night. It is purpose and productivity time. I'm so excited to have you all in the building with me. I've got an exciting topic this evening, and this is a new month. So, we're going to talk about AI, but I'm going to talk from the perspective of how I'm using a specific type of AI to perform and execute a specific type of work in my life, and I want to bring you along with it because it's a learning journey for me right now. And I'm excited for what I have to share with you all. And if you're new and you're trying to figure out, what do I do with this AI thing? Let's come along and learn how to repurpose content together. Learning together. I'm going to share some excitement and I want to get right into it. Thank you for being here this evening. And as always, if you have a question, put your question in chat. Put a Q colon in front of it and put a question in chat. I see moderator extraordinaire out there, Frank Jackson. Thank you, Frank. Welcome to the show. The other people who haven't chimed in yet, say hello, put something in the chat so I know who you are and I can greet you by name. I want to get right into our topic this evening. All right. So, we've got a little bit of an agenda this evening that I want to share with you. And we're going to go through it and we're going to talk about why repurposing, why this repurposed content. And in that, I'm going to get to, because you got to know why. Why are you doing this? What is it going to do for your career, for your business, for your life that you would take on, even wanting to take to perform this task? You hear a lot about it in the content creator world, but I submit it's applicable in all of our world in every place. And then what do you want to repurpose? What content do you have that you're creating, and what is it you want to repurpose, and what is it would make sense to repurpose in this time? So, hey Tora, glad to have you in the building. Then we're going to spend a little time about when to do this repurposing thing, when, and I'm not even going to say where you're going to put it right now, but we'll deal with that later. But when to do this repurposing of our content. And the most exciting part is I'm going to show you a repurposing solution that I have implemented, that I'm using, that I'm again learning to go through and bring you along with me. So I want to greet a couple of folks who are out there in the building with me, and then we're going to get into right into the content. So I'm going to say hello to, of course, Frank Jackson, who is in the building with us, extraordinary um, moderator serving this evening. I'm a little bit late, y'all. And then, of course, my friend here, Toranara Tora, my schedule is changing and I can be back with you on in the morning. So I'm so excited to be able to get back to you. So let's just go right into the topic that I want to talk about. And that is, let's start with this very first thing. Why go through this effort of repurposing? And maybe a little bit about what repurposing is and repurposing our content. And I'm going to take this from the perspective of we are all creators, we all create something. Whether we are, and I'm going to talk about messaging specifically. So it's written, audio, and video content specifically. It takes all kind of forms. This content takes all kind of forms, and we all have something different. Maybe we're not doing video content and we're only doing audio. Maybe we are writing meeting notes for a committee we sit on or a board we sit on. Maybe we are planning out a strategic plan with a friend. Maybe we're planning a family reunion. So there's all kinds of content. Maybe we're having to do some community service. So I want you to think broader and bigger. And why would I do this? That content that you create, I'm going to use an example that's not video, and then I'm going to use an example that's video. An example would be I do public speaking, and I'm often writing my speeches, and then I give the speech, give the talk. Okay, great. But the information in that speech could be cut up and used in so many different ways. And that's why I've already done the work to put that speech together, that public speaking, for that engagement. But now, how can I use that information that I gave in that speech in a different way for a different purpose? To even a completely different audience than who was with me in the beginning. And let me get here. Um, I forgot to take that off. But so that's why. Why is I've created something, I've used it in one way, and I want to use it in a different way. So for you, consider, what do I already do today? What am I creating today? And why would I want to repurpose, do this magical word called repurpose. Repurpose is just taking something you've already created and turning it in and using it in different formats and different ways to bring out more value to people in your life, whether it's business, whether it's ministry, whether it's community service or a cause. Get more value into the hands of the people and into their minds for what you created. So now that you know why, I'm big on knowing why I'm doing something. And so the video example that I will give, of course, you all know I do live streams, I produce videos. There's sometimes tips and hacks and strategies, and I just want to get that part out to another community. This is what I'm using for repurposing. When I started this video content, I had never heard of repurposing, but the principle of it, once I start to understand it, and want you to walk away with this, is truly applicable regardless of where we are in our life and what we are creating. So that's it. So the second thing is, now we know why we're doing what we're doing, and I'm trying to get something to work here. One sec. Is I want to talk about, I did it a little bit, but what to repurpose. And I'm going to say this: every time you create something, whether it's a speech, a podcast, a presentation at your for your career, a video, even a family video, even when you do, it can be anything you create that is delivering a message. Think of, how can I use this same information, deliver value to someone else, a different audience, or even maybe the same audience, but in different ways. Maybe I want to take very small portions. Maybe I have made some really outstanding quotable comments, and I want to just have people keep that top of mind. That's a repurpose. I'm going to take that content, that those quotes that I put in there, not other people's, but what I've said for myself. Maybe it is a list of things that you know will work. You want to boil it down just to that list without a lot of fluff around it. Maybe you want to turn it into a carousel or some graphical content that you want to share, because people learn from pictures a whole lot. So, what is it that you've created that you want to turn into a different format to deliver your message, serve the people you're designed and your purpose to serve, and you want to do it in a very efficient way, and you're not wanting to really recreate it from scratch? You want to say, I've got something and I want to turn this into something else, into a whole bunch of different something else. That is the what you want to create. So it can be emails, it can be, sometimes I talked about, sometimes I'll take my phone or my iPad and I'll just simply talk into it. And I'll talk out what I want to say. I'm not turning it into a polished product at that point, but I want to turn that into an example, a a bunch of different form. I want to turn it into a blog post. I want to turn it into an email. I want to turn it into a presentation. I want to turn it into some graphics. I want to do a lot with it. All I have to start with is that verbal thing that I recorded into my phone. I don't want to have to take it and rewrite it and do all of that because that's extra time. That's not being productive. Remember, productive is about producing and achieving what you want to produce and achieve. It's not about being busy. So that is the what. Anything that you put together to communicate a message can be used in in a different way. And then the next thing we want to say, I'm going quickly today, is when. When do I do this? Now, there are two parts of when. The when I do it could be what day of the week, how often I do it. It could be where I do that work. Do I have to be in my primary studio, or does it have to be on a weekend, or does it have to be in the morning, or is it in the evening? That's not the when that I'm talking about. That's time. That's talking about your time. We talk about managing our time here often, but this is not t- when in terms of time, what day, what hour, even what place. But when means when do I make the decision? When is it appropriate to deliver this information in a different format? When is it necessary to ensure that the other person or persons get the message that I'm trying to communicate for their good, for helping them, for serving them? When does that make sense for that other group, that other person to receive the information that I want to share with them and that I have to share with them? Example that I'm going to give is not everyone is going to sit down and watch a live stream, right? Not everyone is going to be available on Fridays at 6:30. But what I know is the content that I share in the live streams is usable to other people in different forms. When maybe, hey, I know that this group of people is struggling with the basics of AI. Can I give it to them even in my community post, in social media post, in email, truly even in taking the graphics and text messaging them because we have a personal connection? When does it make sense for this content that I've created to be delivered in this new format to the intended people it's intended for? So making that when decision is critical to the decisions we make in this effort of repurposing. And I want you to take that away and know that there's no one right when for everyone. Each of us, it's going to be dependent on who we're serving, what our message is, what our goal is for getting that message out. If we want to put it, and we can talk about where you put it. We'll talk about that later on in the month. Where does it go? But it's important to make some decisions and consider when does it make sense? So what is it to repurpose? Why repurposing? And when? Just to repeat and make sure that I'm covering the bases with you. Those are the three critical questions that I wanted to leave you with to have you think through for yourself what makes sense. And I'm going to stop here before I go on to the next one because I want to share with you what I'm using and say hello to Inanea. Glad to have you in the building, moderating, serving. And I also saw Denise. I saw someone greet Denise. I don't see her in the chat right now, but if she's there and I don't see her, welcome. Glad to have you in the building with us. So glad to have you. So, gang, I have talked about this tool about and not shared with you exactly what it is. And that's what I want to share. I'm so excited about this tool, y'all. And I've been using it and learning it a little bit and I made my personal commitment that I'm really going to learn how to use it well. So give me a second and I'm going to tell you what it is. I'm going to share with you what it is. I'm moving something. You may see something moving on the screen, but I'm moving something around and hopefully this will line up where I want it to. We're going to see. We're going to see if this lines up where yep, almost, 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 almost. We're going to scoot this way. So the product I'm talking about, this is the solution that I found. The solution I found is a product by the name of Alphana. Alphana, A-L uh, Phana, and I'll go ahead and drop a link in the there's a link in the chat. Hey Yolanda, and what I love about well, there's lots that I love about it. Basically, this is a repurposing tool on steroids. And what makes it different, let me just share this. What makes this tool different than solely using a chat GPT or a Gemini or even a video editor, vertical video editor, is it combines video as well as written, and for me it's an educational tool to help me get better at turning different types of content into other types of content. So you can do clips, you can create lots of things. So I'm going to just kind of walk through this a little bit with you. If I create a new project, and we're going to go through this in detail throughout the month, but I just want to give you some quick tips here to get you familiar with the interface and tell you some of the things that I really love about Alphana. One is you have, of course, quick create, short clips from a video, social post from a video, tips and lessons and blog posts. But there's so much more in here. There are popular types of content that you can create. Excuse me. So you can go like a summary template, a marketing, there are like hundreds of templates in here. And you can customize them. And then you can bring if you have YouTube, you can use YouTube. But I often just have just an audio file from my phone, frankly, that I've recorded, or just on my computer. Something that I've recorded and I want to do. So then there are workflows, like a podcast content workflow. And if I wanted that, so to do this, you take a video, and I'm going to try to pick something that I already have here. I'm just going to randomly pick something. And so this is a video I already have uploaded. And I want to turn it into something else. So now I can personalize it and say what I want it to sound professional. I want it to be at an 8th grade reading level. The target audience is content creators, right? And I'm going to show you why this is important. And I want this in English. So what it's doing, this is a cheat, it's building the prompt for me by what I pick. So I'm not having to constantly rewrite prompts. It's building the prompt, and as we go through this month, you'll see how I reuse it. I can add additional instructions here or additional prompt, words to avoid, brand colors, custom notes, do's and don'ts, anything else. So once I tell it what I want it to do, I click generate. And for the workflow that I picked, in this case, it's, oh shoot, I forgot I did not want to edit the speech, the transcript. I'm generating the content. The workflow is all of these pieces of content are being generated, and it's only using my transcript. I can customize these. I can build, and we'll go through this later. I can build as many different workflows, meaning as many different combinations of additional content that I want to have created from this one thing, whether it's audio, video, whatever. I can build 40, 50 different pieces of content. The prompts are being written, the content is generated. I can customize it as much as I want. It's not going out taking random information that's in an LLM. It's solely using my existing content that I have created. So it's my voice. Earlier, I did a video about when you use LLMs or generative AI, make sure it's your voice. It's not anybody else's. On the surface, that seems easy, but it's work. This reduces and makes me efficient about turning what I've already done into something else. That is what is magical about it. And it's using current LLMs, they stay current. They're releasing features all the time. This is still generating because, of course, I had to go pick something that had a whole bunch of stuff to generate um, from it. There, the the CEO is very approachable. There's a lively community that's engaged with Alfana, and the results are great. I love the results that I get. So I'm going to kind of show you some of these. So for example, it took that video and it created a, a blog post. So here's my blog post. I can expand it and it's using just the content that I had, not something else. I can start these. If I have 15 different things, I can start it, walk away, go do something else and come back. I don't have to sit here and be making one thing right after the other, right after the other. If I want to take and say, are there other titles that I can use in a different way? Because it's using my content, it's giving me title suggestions. If I want to do comic imaging, it's building an image. It's building the images based on my content, not some other random content. And I can customize these and I can give it different prompts and say what I want it to look like, what brand colors I wanted to use, whether I wanted to use text or all kinds of like unlimited. So it's built, this is my content. This is not somebody else's. It can do, I said social, so LinkedIn post, a Twitter thread, YouTube SEO tags. You get the point. So this is the solution to be productive in repurposing. Have a way to create a lot of different, multiple types of repurposed content without having to go in and out of several tools and learn several tools, although I have several, without investing as much time in learning to prompt or even teaching ChatGPT to do the prompts for you and asking it. Those are all viable and I do them. But when I want to repurpose and I've got something already in the can, I've delivered it in some form of fashion, and I want to turn it into other types of content, this is my go-to tool. And over the next few sessions, I want to dig in and give you some real world examples and show you how I use this and how I'm learning to use it to be more effective with my time and then time investment. The time investment so that I'm creating value, giving value, and doing it in a way that is sustainable for me. And I'm not being a lone hero. Okay. So I'm going to suggest if you have questions, please go ahead and put your questions in chat. And I want to say hello to a couple of other folks who have joined us. So, hello, Mike Flemings. Glad to have you in the building with us. And of course, hey, Miss Nene, I spoke to you earlier, but I wanted to make sure I greeted you again. And of course, there she is. She's back on the air. Ravens Talk with Yolanda. Hello, Miss Yolanda. Glad to see you in the building. Does anyone have questions? Did I about just kind of the principle of what I shared with you this evening about this repurposing, this whole idea of repurposing content to even get us started talking about this, right? Just the very basics of getting started talking about this idea of repurposing. So, what I did just again, we talked about why to repurpose, what information do we repurpose, when does it make sense to repurpose, and then I introduced you very briefly to my repurposing solution. If you want to try it, there's a link in the there's a link in the what's it called? In the description. There's a link in the description, and you can get it there. I'm having a hard time thinking. I think I'm too tired, but having a hard time thinking this evening. You can get it there, and I look forward to this journey with you all. And during the week before we come back together, if you have additional questions, you want to see some specific combination, leave a comment, send me an email, however you want to do it, and I'll be glad to incorporate your examples directly into what I'm doing as I go through this learning to repurpose with you in this month of August. It's all about repurposing existing material that we've already created. So, if there are no questions and I don't see any, what I'm going to say to you, know that you are already a creator. You are already a creator. You create something every day. You have messages and information and knowledge you're sharing with other people every day. Take Use the right tool to be productive and turn that what could be a one-time set of messages into messages that you deliver to the right people in the right format at the right time when it's appropriate for them, and do it in a way that's sustainable. We'll get through this. We're going to go through this, and when we're all done, my desire for you is that you will feel comfortable in this exercise and you'll know that it's not too scary to do. Be blessed, and I will see you all in another video or next Friday on the live show. Have a great weekend.